Post 17 JO coach Nate Russell joins us. And coach, well, first of all, let's talk a little bit about your team. Tell me a little bit about the 2026 JL team.
Yeah, it's been an incredible season with these guys. I think the biggest word that comes to mind when I think about this team is resilient. They have gone through, and for a lot of them, this is their first time playing an extended season like this across not just 60-ish games, but also they've been going since March is when we started kind of our preseason workouts. And so it's a lot of baseball for some young guys that are not used to it. And so they've faced a lot of adversity throughout the season. Some of them have had slumps, some of them have had successes throughout the season. And when you go through some of those younger levels, you're used to experiencing a lot of success when you're good at baseball. And that's a thing that we've talked about throughout the season is you're at a much higher level than you're probably used to at this point. And so navigating those things gets to be a little bit taxing mentally. And so resilience is the biggest word that comes to mind.
So, what do you do to kind of get those kids prepared to go, hey, you're at another level. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, one of the biggest things is getting them to understand that even in the small, I'm going to say failures, there is success. Guys will have 9, 10, 11 pitch at bats, and they may not necessarily get the result. They might not get the hit. They might not get the RBI. But at this level, when you can extend a guy for the opposing pitcher, for example, for 10 pitches, 11 pitches, when you're on 105 max count, which you got to be a pretty special dude to go to that 105, that 10, 11 pitches is 10% of what he was doing that day. And so that matters a lot. If we ground out, but we move a base runner 90 feet closer, that feels like failure based on what they've experienced up to this point. But when runs come at a premium in a lot of junior legion games, that's a success. And so kind of helping them navigate that throughout the season has been a welcome challenge. But I think the biggest thing is just making sure that they understand, hey, that was one at bat of the 80, 90, 100, 110 that you're going to end up taking throughout the season and not living victim to the moment at that point. And that's been the biggest thing is helping them see the big picture.
Talk about some of the successes you've seen this season.
We have had, I'm going to say, probably some of our best pitching that I've seen since I've been around the program. That's one of our most valuable assets right now is it doesn't matter who I throw out there. I know reliably I'm going to be able to get 2, 3 good innings out of them. Yes, we're going to struggle at times. That's part of the nature of baseball. But when I have guys like Caden Himrick, Caden Corey, Tate McNames, Cannon Van Gilder. Those guys go out there, and that's just a small microcosm. That's just the 4 names that come to mind. But that's one of those when you can throw them out there and you just have confidence in them, that's the biggest asset. And I think that's our biggest success so far. We've gone to the Marshall tournament, which was Junior Legion. We played in the championship there. We went to the Fargo tournament, and we ended up losing in extra innings to the Castleton team that ended up with not only the #1 overall seed, but ended up winning the thing. So we were, we'll call it a run away from being on championship day there. So that's our biggest success. We've also had a few guys knock in multiple home runs. That's batting success at the junior legion level. And so we have a lot of guys that they have kind of adapted to what it takes to win at the junior legion level. And I think as a coach, that's the biggest success that I've seen is the guys have responded to not only my coaching style, but also my assistant coach, Justin Hart, both of our methods of how we approach the game. And those guys have taken to it, implemented it, and we've had a very successful season up to this point as we prepare for the state tournament.
So, what does it take to win at the JL level?
I think the biggest thing that it takes is making simple baseball plays. It a lot of guys when you play teeter ball, you're used to having a pretty wide disparity sometimes between your upper talent and your middle talent, and then we'll call it lower talent. That's not to demean anybody that isn't necessarily as talented, but they're used to just getting by on athleticism and being able to just make these magic plays, right? We've seen some wizards with gloves on the baseball diamond between Francisco Lindor, Derek Jeter. The list goes on. Baseball's over 100 years old. But at the junior legion level, the biggest thing that you can't do is beat yourself. And that's where our biggest pitfall has come throughout the season. But that's also the thing that we have tried to make sure that they understand, especially with our super regional series we just had against Mitchell. You have a team that we went 2 out of 3 games. It did take that third game. And the only reason, really, in my opinion, that we needed that third game was it came time to make a simple baseball play. And our defensive miscue showed up. That unfortunately, that's how baseball works, right? You're always going to have those miscues. Sometimes they come at not opportune times. But the biggest thing then was we have another game. We turned the page. That's one of the team's favorite Coach Russellisms is we're going to turn the page. And they came back ready to go in game 3, and we responded in a big way. And I told them after the game, that's the biggest thing that I was most proud of on Thursday was they took that loss for what it was worth, figured out what we needed to do to change to win game 3. And my motto for Wednesday and Thursday was by any means necessary. And that's what it takes at the JL level is really any means necessary.
Well, you talked a little bit about your super regional games, and it seems like what you said a little bit ago, resilience, and that's exactly what you had in those 3 super regional games. Am I correct?
Yeah, we on Wednesday night we go walk off bottom of the 7th, and we had a few at bats that we got a little bit extended. We went a little bit outside of our comfort zone, and we had Caleb Canas came off the bench in a big moment, huge moment, and he comes through with a line drive, wins the game. But he's not in that position if we don't have the resilience of Boston Butler, who knew that we had Wilkes flattened on second base, knew we needed to get him 90 feet closer. And it didn't look like much when you watched, but he stayed behind the baseball, got it to the right side of the infield, and moved Wilkes 90 feet closer. Those are the little things that it takes to win tight baseball games like that. And then resilience in terms of we battled in game 2. We came up just a little bit short, which happens. And then the resilience to go, okay, game 2 is done. We turned that page, and then we adapted and responded in game 3.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the state tournament. First of all, the format is a little bit different than up in the senior level. Can you talk a little bit about what the format is like in the JL level?
Yeah, so at the JL level, we play 2 different pools, 2 teams of 4. And so for ourselves, our pool is Watertown, Sioux Falls East, who is the host for this tournament. And then we have Harrisburg and Renner. And Harrisburg and Renner are the 2 teams that throughout the season for the summer, we don't hold a win against. So when you look at our pool, it's going to definitely be a challenge. We've seen Renner 4 times this summer, and we didn't come out with our most competitive games the first time we saw them. Our team responded the next day. We came back. We played great against Brandon Valley Black, who's also in the state tournament. And then we saw Renner at home later on, and the games were more competitive. We still didn't come away with wins, but it's encouraging to know that we grew across that. And then Harrisburg, again, we went down there, a 2-hour van ride, right? And so it can be challenging when you take those long trips to come out and respond. So the thing that I'm most excited for is we need at least 2 wins out of that pool. I think that's very possible. And then it's just a matter of we got to have the right wins, have the right runs allowed. So we got to play really good defense. And then as long as we have a chip and a chair on Sunday, we'll give ourselves a shot. And I really like our team for Sunday.
All right.